Hey, everybody, it's Heather Vickery. Hey, listen, I need your help with something. As you all know, we release a brand new episode of the Brave Files each and every Thursday. And it just so happens that each and every year here in the United States, we celebrate Thanksgiving on a Thursday. So I've been giving it a lot of thought. What kind of episode do I want to release on Thanksgiving? And I've decided I want it to be an episode about gratitude. If you listen to the show regularly, you know that I believe firmly in the importance of having a gratitude practice and spending time with gratitude. If your mind and your heart and your energy is full of positive things, there's no room for negative and unhappy things to creep in. So this is where you come in. I want to feature you along with everyone on the Brave Files podcast team and some of our past guests in this special Thanksgiving gratitude episode. So here's what you need to do. It's going to be super easy, simple, and fun. Make a recording of yourself sharing what you are most grateful for from the past year. Be sure to include your name, first names only, and your location. You don't have to be in the United States to participate. You can be anywhere in the world. And we have listeners in over 26 different countries. I would love, love, love to hear from some of you in faraway places. Then simply email the audio clip to me at heather@vickeryandco.com. That's it. Simple, right? You can begin sending in your gratitude right now, and we will accept them through November 1st. If you're not sure how to record yourself, drop me an email and I'm happy to guide you through it. Again, send your audio clips to heather@vickeryandco.com. And thank you for helping me create an awesome Thanksgiving episode all about gratitude. I cannot wait to share it with you.
Patience, wisdom, and courage.
You are listening to The Brave Files, real stories from people living courageously. You can listen to the show anywhere you enjoy podcasts, and we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make a difference, and we appreciate it. Now here's your host, Heather Vickery.
Hi, everybody. This is Heather Vickery. Welcome to this week's episode of The Brave Files. Today's guest is here to share a story of trusting your instincts and fighting for what you believe is the right thing. Jazzmin Jackson had a beautiful and perfect almost 2-year-old son. They went in for a normal checkup and a vaccination, and she came out with a different child. Side note, I just want to say this is not an anti-vaccination piece. It's about knowing your children and fighting for them when you know something isn't right. And Jazzmin's story gives us a lot to learn. Jazzmin, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Heather.
I've been looking forward to this. And I just have to say, y'all should check Jazzmin out. All of her links will be in the show notes. She is an incredible woman, and we agreed that we could do 2 or 3 different podcast episodes. So we're going to focus on this story because it's one we haven't been able to tell before, and I think it's really, really important. Jazzmin, tell us a little bit about your child and what he was like before, and then what happened.
Okay, no problem. My son's name is Solomon Micah. And I say that because his name means peace like God.
Beautiful.
And that hopefully defines my son. He was a child that was very peaceful, playing, loving to be around people, but always like a quiet storm. He would never want, too much attention. He was okay playing with himself, by himself. He was just a peaceful child. I can say there was just nothing more amazing about this child, since I had an older child that is bouncing off the walls, always into something, climbing off the countertop. So to have a child that was just still and just quiet and just peaceful, like he just created an atmosphere, and he still does that to this day, that people do not understand why they just are gravitated towards him.
That's so sweet.
And like any other child, he was walking, he was climbing, he was beginning stages of talking. I have pictures even now of him holding a sword, standing on top of a box, and then looking at me like, oh my gosh, he just caught me. But I'm going to quietly get down because I don't want you to be nervous about what I'm doing. And you could tell in his eyes, he just had that personality.
Busted.
Yeah, exactly. Busted. But guess what, Mom? I'm cute. So I'm going to just quietly get down and not say a word, and you're going to be okay with this. That was totally his personality. We went in for a routine scheduled vaccination, and we went late because I had just started a teaching career in a different position. So it was a lot going on when you change grade levels. So I was late to get his vaccination. We went in, nothing seemed odd. Had the vaccination done in around October, end of October.
So wait, when was the vaccination? What month was that?
October. It was October.
It was early October. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It was late October.
Gotcha.
Late October. So we got the vaccination late October. We didn't think anything was strange until, the next couple of weeks, he started to walk with this limp. We could not understand. He was walking perfectly fine. He started walking with a limp. Then once he started walking with a limp, he started dragging a foot.
Oh
and
goodness.
We were really getting concerned about what was going on. And it was January that he started to have a seizure. And the seizure was he had a fever of 104, and he seized on me. When we took him to the ER, they were just like, oh, it's just a febrile seizure. It's nothing strange. But he continued to seize the next couple of weeks. It got to a point where we're having 4 seizures a day, and something's not right.
Yeah, big time not right.
Something's not right. So we go in, we continue to go in for appointments, trying to understand what was going on. The doctor could not give us any information. They were as clueless as we were, which is really devastating because you go into a doctor's office for answers.
Yeah.
And when they can't give you answers, you're now questioning everything that you're doing. Well, maybe we had bug spray and we sprayed bug spray and we forgot to wipe it up and he stepped in it. Maybe he fell down a step and we didn't realize it and we didn't pick him up in time, and that's the cause of it. We were just really scrambling for answers until one day, I don't even know why it got in my mind. I woke up one day, went into my living room and got on, Facebook for some reason. And the thing that popped up on Facebook was this video of a CDC professor talking about the MMR vaccination. And that's the last vaccination that Solomon had with the combination. So the MMR vaccination is a combination vaccination.
Yes.
That you can take it separate, but most doctors' offices don't do it separate. But if you take it separate and you take it after the age of 3, you have less side effects and no side effects. So I went in and I listened to this vaccination, and it was just like something dawned on me that this was the cause. And you say that to a doctor like, oh, it's the age of Wikipedia. Everyone's looking up, or MedDoc, everyone's looking and diagnosing. When I went and looked up the side effects of the vaccination, he had all of them.
Wow. And they have to report that stuff. I mean, that's why they put it on the papers that they send you home with. Like,
yes,
if you see any of these side effects, let us know.
Exactly. So muscle stiffness, joints, not being able to move joints easily, developmental delays, all of these things that they list, having seizures out of nowhere was one of them. So these were all the things that we were dealing with. And when we presented it to the doctor, she did not believe anything that we said. And there's no way that a vaccination can cause this. Vaccinations are safe. Do you think that I would be vaccinating kids to get them sick? And I said, ma'am, no, I don't think that.
And it wasn't personal.
It wasn't about her.
Yeah.
It was about Solomon.
Yeah.
It wasn't about her. It was, and I asked a simple question: what can you prove that it's not? And she told me no. So if you cannot prove that it's not, then there's a possibility that it could be.
That's right.
So we went into genetic testing, and the genetic testing came out just as weird as everything else. She diagnosed my son with, neurologist diagnosed us with PPT1.
What's that?
It's ceroid fuchsius liposuchus dysgresia. It's easier to say PPT1, and when you look it up, they'll give you the big long word.
But what does it mean? Yeah.
It basically means that the neurons in his brains are not firing the way they're supposed to, causing a delay response to no response at all. So his body is functioning perfectly fine, but the neurons are not triggering the right way.
Yeah. His body's not communicating.
Exactly, body's not
Okay.
communicating. But what was odd about that is that when we got the genetic testing back, he only had one marker for the disease, and it said in the paperwork, this is not sufficient evidence to diagnose anyone with this disease with what he has.
And did you ask the question, because it begs the question, why was he not showing signs of this before he had the vaccination?
That's what they cannot answer, because they said that they told me that he had the infantile stage, and if you have the infantile stage, it's supposed to pop up at 6 months.
Yeah.
He did not have it at 6
Okay.
months. He didn't really get it until close to he was 2 years old. So when they diagnosed him with that, and part of the disease says that you will die by the age of 3 if you get it in infantile stage. Yes. So when we went in the doctor's office the next year, October the 16th, 2017, we sat down in a doctor's office, and she sent us to hospice.
Wow.
She said, I'm sending you to hospice because what he has, he will die.
And
not most likely die. He will die. We're just waiting for it to happen. But don't lose hope. That's what she told me.
Oh, well, that's helpful.
Yes.
And so what's going on in your mind? What are your bells ringing? What is your mommy instinct telling you?
My mom instinct tells me this is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning.
All right. So we walk out and do what?
You have to kind of grasp yourself, because when you get news like this, that your child that you carried for 9 months is going to die, the first thing you have to do is try to wrap your brain around what someone's telling you.
Absolutely.
Because if you can't wrap your brain around it, you're going to walk around in la la land and not handle a situation, because you can't handle anything you don't first take the time to soak in and understand
and process.
So
Absolutely.
So I'm going to tell you, the first thing I did was cry for a whole day.
Yeah.
I'm going to be complete. I went to work crying.
I can't imagine doing anything else.
I walked into my elementary school, and I didn't make it 5 steps before I couldn't walk anymore. I was literally about to fall on the ground. My instructional coach found me and saw my face before I could go down, and basically almost dragged me into a room and just said, stay there, because I couldn't do anything but cry. I couldn't. It was just despair. Like, why my child?
Yeah.
Why am I going through this? And I had to, after that, get out of that and say, okay, Jazzmin, are you going to stay here, or are you going to fight?
Yeah.
Are you going to just say, woe is me? Because when you give up, then a lot of times the situation goes exactly the way people say they are, because you gave up. You didn't fight back. You didn't do anything to change your situation. And that has never been my personality. That's not who I am.
Good for you.
And I have a strong relationship with Christ. So that's not even who I'm attached to, what he does.
Yeah.
So I had to take the time and do my research. What is PPT1? What does it look like? Okay, what does the MMR vaccination do? What does that look like? What are things that you can counterbalance? And my family and I used our wisdom and knowledge to say, research every living thing that you can think of and go hard with it. Because
the doctor with something else.
You do, because the doctor put him on seizure medication, 2 different types of seizure medication, and it turned my peaceful, quiet child into an aggressive, angry person.
Poor baby.
He was hitting people. He was yelling. He was kicking. He just turned into a totally different child. And the doctor's like, oh, this is normal. This is things that kind of have to happen. No, this is not normal for Solomon.
Right.
Not the child who is of peace. This is not normal
your
for
child.
Him. Exactly. Doctors are wonderful people. And I have nothing against the doctor, even right now. Sometimes my husband's like, I don't want to go see her again. It's nothing against her. She's practicing medicine. She's going around what people have told her and what she's using her understanding. So she's not at fault. I'm not going to fault her for it. It is, as a parent, is up to you to do your part for your child. The doctor wasn't given that child. You were given that child. You were given the charge to watch over that child. So because I was given that charge, I had to take ownership for it and do what I could to research and find out. We got him off of that and put him on CBD oil.
Excellent.
Which comes from the marijuana plant. But he went from having 5 seizures a day to being angry, going from anger to depression to having no seizures and being back to a
Wow.
peaceful child.
So how did you administer the CBD oil?
It's a dropper.
Okay.
So we go to a specialty clinic. Insurance does not pay for it.
Wow.
They just did pass a law for it, but you have to fail 3 seizure medications before they'll let you use it.
That seems so ridiculous that a natural solution isn't better.
It's very ridiculous.
It's all about money.
It is. And that's what you have to understand. As parents, you have to understand what the back of it is. Pharmaceutical companies are not in the business of curing things. They're in the business of maintaining things.
Yeah.
Because maintaining keeps the inflow of money.
Yep.
And that's just it. And again, am I saying modern medicine is bad? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you cannot take anything as a prove all, fix all type of solution.
Absolute.
You have to go into taking something and have wisdom. That means you go find out what this does to your body. It is your responsibility, not the doctor.
That's right. I agree. So what made you think to try CBD oil?
Someone told us about it.
Okay.
We went to farmers market in Dallas looking for, just fruits and different things because I'm a very holistic type of person. Very organic. I like to give my kids the best nutrients in their body. Mm-hmm. So we went up there to kind of just get some local produce from different farmers. And while we were there, we met a guy who does spray for the bathrooms. And he told us that Febreze and different things like that will cause seizures. So he had me when he said the word seizure.
Yeah.
Because that is something that my son deals with. So I don't want to be putting anything in the atmosphere that's going to trigger something for him. So in the process of it, I told him, hey, we're going through this. My son had seizures. And he pulled me to the side as if we were going to do like a secret deal or something. I was like, it was strange. And he said, have you tried CBD oil? I said, what is CBD oil? And what are you talking about? So he said, it is apart from the marijuana plant, but it's not like what people talk about, like the smoking part of it. It's the oils from it. And that reduces seizures. They do it in California. They have it in Colorado. But my best friend's daughter had seizures. And when they put them on CBD oil, she would have maybe a seizure a month. Wow. And she was having 7 seizures a day. So it was like, okay. So he wrote it down on paper. I have my cousin's a doctor in California. I called her and asked her about it. She told me to send her the weight of Solomon and sent me back doses. Wow. This is how much he can take. And then my mother-in-law did some research on where to find the medication. And she found it. Literally, I did not know that it was 30 minutes away from my house, that there was a small holistic health store that sold it. And she went in and got it for us and dropped it off. And, we've been using it ever since. And we went from 5 seizures a day to no seizures at all. And when we told the doctor, she said, oh, yeah, CBD oil does reduce seizures. What?
Casually. It's insane. So how quickly did the oil work for him?
Within a month.
Okay.
Because he had the medication still in his system, so we had to do a cleanse.
Yeah.
We took it's a silver dropper, which basically cleansed the blood. It's an all natural product that cleanses the blood. So we had to give him that with other vitamins for a good month before we saw a real improvement, because he had to get that medication out of his body. So
you were able to control the seizures. What about the other symptoms, the delay of speech and the walking, and what's happening with everything else?
It went down. When he got on the seizure medication, seizures deal with the brain. And since everything that you do has to come from the storehouse of your brain, he went from walking in July of last year to not walking at all by September. He wasn't walking or crawling at all.
And what about now?
Now he is still non-mobile, but he's gained some things. So what I've learned, that's why you have the patience part.
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't recruit on my timeline. It recruits on its own timeline. Yeah. He used to not be able to smile. He can smile now.
Oh,
he used to not be able to lift his hand or release. Or when he does have his hand up, it would be in tension, like a fist. He doesn't do that anymore. He can release his hands and put his hands up. He even 2 weeks ago, he waved at his grandmother.
Oh.
So he's slowly gaining back the skills, but it's us learning how to be patient with the process because it's very easy to lose things. It's very hard to regain them.
Yeah.
So as a parent, I've had to learn not to blame myself. Like, why didn't I know this information about a vaccination before? Why didn't I know about the CBD oil before? I had to learn how to be patient with me as a mother.
So Jazzmin, you deeply believe that he does not have the disorder, the genetic disorder.
With everything in me, I do. Because when I research, because again, I don't just I look at things. I took genetics in college. I was a biology major. So I know about genetics. I know about gene crossing. I know how those things form. So when I actually looked at that paperwork, he does not have, the gene is not dominant, one, and it's not both. He doesn't have two of them. He has one. So as a person, I understand if you have one gene, it either has to be recessive to code or dominant recessive to code.
Yeah.
And that's not what's happening. He only has one gene. So if it's not double, or if it's not a dominant gene either, then it can't code.
Right.
But again, as a neurologist, as a doctor, they saw something that he had some hint of something.
They just went with it.
Yeah. Again, I understand the logic behind it. But again, that's where you have to go back and research for yourself.
Yeah.
And everything in me, I do not believe he has that, because it says 75% of people who have this disease are from Finland.
Not your family heritage.
I'm light skinned. I'm light skinned, but I'm not that light. I'm just gonna tell you. So if they would have said Irish, I would have been. But we do not have that in our background.
Jazzmin, how old is Solomon now?
He is 3 years and 2 months.
Okay. So all of this has happened in a fairly short time frame, but
oh yes,
your child is alive.
Alive.
Do you think if you had just accepted the diagnosis that he would be alive?
No, I do not. I don't believe that, because I don't think we would have changed the seizure medication. I don't believe we would have controlled the seizures. We would have just took what the doctor told us and ran with it. And we would have, I really think the atmosphere that you put yourself in cultivates things.
Yes.
So if I would have put him in the hospice, then I would have had those spirits of despair and your child not living. I would have had that jump on me, and then I would have had came to my house. And I really believe in the idea of spirits jumping.
Me too.
And putting yourself in the right atmosphere. So I think I went to the doctor's office a month ago. Would you still be willing to go to hospice?
What?
No, I'm not going to hospice.
Yeah.
Thank you
for asking.
What does
the doctor say about the fact that she basically said, go say goodbye, and here you are a year later, and he's progressing slowly, but progressing. Like, what does she have to say about it?
She says, well, you know that this is a degenerating disease, and eventually he will lose all skills. I said, I know that's what that disease does. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay. Why haven't you changed doctors?
I am in the process.
Yeah. I'm with your husband, quite frankly. I'm like, you cannot blame her for doing her job. Like, I understand that, and I appreciate that. I think that's very generous of you. But clearly, this doctor is not getting your family's needs.
No, it's not. But see, with neurology, it's very hard to get your child in the right neurology programs.
Sure.
Because unfortunately, it's more frequent, these issues, than there are doctors. So we actually, after we did that, we researched to try to find a different clinic. We're in the process of putting him in Children's Dallas, which is the number 2 neurology in the area. But it takes almost 6 months to get into that clinic.
Okay. So
he will be there next month.
That's great.
But it's a process. And what I don't want to do ever is take him from under neurology care and not have somewhere else for him to go. Because if anything happens, that's not a very safe thing. Yeah. And then I could be charged with neglect.
No, it seems
anything
smart.
happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, wisdom. It's using wisdom. But trust me, we have found. We looked and we found.
Yeah. Good. Now, you have 3 children. Is Solomon your youngest?
No, Solomon is my middle child.
Okay. How old is your baby?
My son, my smallest child, Simeon, he is 18 months.
So while all of this is happening, you are pregnant and having another baby.
Yes. Though all of this stuff did not develop until after I had him.
So newborn baby.
Newborn baby. because I don't think I could handle the stress of that being pregnant. So I'm very grateful that that happened afterwards.
But that's
it was
crazy,
afterwards.
having to care for a newborn baby. Will you have your youngest child vaccinated?
No, he's not.
Not at all? Or will you just separate and delay?
He will be at least delayed until 3.
Okay.
And then we will research on exactly what vaccinations he needs to take, because some vaccinations, I understand why they take them, but I don't think you need to take them as a child, like hepatitis. My child's not having sex, nor is he doing so. There's certain things that I will delay specifically because they're not needed at the moment. But again, I tell because parents, since we've been doing this since this happened to Solomon, parents have been calling me, asking my advice on vaccination. And I tell them, you research the drug, you research what the vaccination does, and you ask yourself, is this something I think my child should have?
Exactly.
So, and go from there. Because again, my story is not everyone's story. It's not going to be like, okay, no one gets vaccinated. I was vaccinated as a child. I wasn't vaccinated as much.
Yeah.
But you have to also think about vaccinations are there to help people, but they're also money boosters. Doctor office get money from the amount of shots that they give to their patients. That's just the truth of it. They're getting prizes, they're getting vacations, they're getting different things from these companies because they are producing a certain amount of number of patients with this giving this vaccination. So you also got to take it with a fine-tooth comb to say, okay, this is the perks that they're getting. This is what the vaccination does. Is this the best thing for my child?
Yeah. I think by and large, vaccinations have been good as far as saving lives across the board. But I am with you on doing your research, know what's going into your child's body. I was a delay vax parent myself. My youngest is now 5. And so when they were little, up until the age of 4, I think, I never allowed them to get more than one shot at a time. We would come back in a couple months and get the second one. I delayed the chickenpox vaccination until they had to have it to go into school, because I do know that the older the child is, the more resilient they are to bouncing back. But that was for me, right? So this is, I appreciate the reminder that everybody should research for themselves what they think is right for their children and then for their family. Jazzmin, so much of this has been tragic and difficult. And so this question is hard to ask, but it's what my show is about. And also I think what you are about. Has there been a silver lining? What are the lessons that have been valuable to you that you've taken from this experience?
A lot of my lessons that I've learned are very spiritual. That's just where I see it. The first thing I've learned is that there is no final answer. In a sense of when someone tells you that this is going to be the outcome, they do not control what the outcome is.
Yeah.
That is something that they think is going to happen. But you have the opportunity to change the people's perspective concerning the people in your control. I guess I can say that. Yeah. I've learned that no one has the final authority on what will happen to my child. Yeah. No one does. And as a parent, I have the authority and I have the power and I have the intuition and the wisdom to be able to counteract things if I'm willing to do my part. None of this came from me sitting down, drinking coffee, and all of a sudden the answer came.
That's right.
No, I had to actually get up, be active, research, ask questions, ask more questions, sometimes be a little defiant, but fight.
Love that about you.
Be willing to fight for things that are important to you, and don't take no as an answer. And that was something I learned, is to not take no as the answer and research it as far as I could. Yeah. For me, it also told me to be more diligent in my prayer life. And for me, it was praying a lot more and being humble about things and not taking things for granted. A lot of times we take health for granted. We take our children for granted. We take a lot of things in our atmosphere for granted. And that's taught me to never take anything for granted, because your child growing up is not promised to you, So always hold on to the things that you are granted at the moment, and never always never always just have the attitude of what's going to happen in the future, but appreciate the things that are happening right now. I take the small moments and appreciate Solomon.
I love that so much. And I do so much work around gratitude, both personally and professionally, and the value, the deep intrinsic value of steeping your life in gratitude. That is a gift for sure. As you're fighting this, as you're going through this and picking yourself up every day, did you feel brave? Do you feel brave?
I don't feel brave. Not all the time.
It doesn't mean that you're not scared. I think it's an important distinction. Brave, I always say, in fact, I had t-shirts made that say this, brave is greater than fearless. I think fear is an important, necessary emotion.
Yeah.
And bravery is pushing past it. So
and then I would say yes. I'm a person who moves in spite of fear.
Yes.
So if that's your
brave,
embodiment of brave,
yes,
then that's what I am.
A person who moves in spite of fear, to me, lives bravely and courageously. I love that.
It's not that I don't fear. It's not that I don't fear what Solomon's going through. It's not that some days I have to go in the bathroom and cry.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And be frustrated and say, why is this not changing? But then I have to, in the midst, put that fear on my back and say, you're not going to stop me.
That's right.
If you got to come with me, you're going to be back here behind me and I'm going to move forward.
Yes.
And that's pretty much what I've taken an approach to everything in my life, whether it's running my business, whether it's being a mother, whether it's writing my books and promoting and speaking. Everything that I have to do, I have to put that fear on my back. And I think a lot of people sometimes, they see people doing something in spite of fear and they think, oh, you must not have fear.
Yeah,
No, it's not it. It's that I refuse to let fear hold me back, and I refuse to let my fear define who I am. I will let my work define by who I am, not my fear.
Yes. Yes. All of that 1,000 times. The goal is not to be fearless, folks. There's value in overcoming fear. So this begs the question, as you've had these little wins that are big wins because they're keeping your child alive and with you, how do you, or do you, I hope that you do, how do you stop to recognize and honor those successes, large or small?
Dance parties.
Yeah, me too. I love my dance parties.
I will pick up Solomon and we will dance. So if he smiled, we smiled. Hooray.
Yes. That's such a beautiful mental image. I wish I had a video of that because that's beautiful.
And that's pretty much what we'll do. We'll lift it and he'll just look at me and smile again like, oh gosh, Mom. But we'll do it, and I will sing, even though I'm not the best singer. We'll sing about everything. He
great.
Opens up his hand and we'll make a song to that, and everyone in the house will sing with us. My 1-year-old will look and like kind of, pump his arms up. My 6-year-old, 7-year-old now. My 7-year-old will start doing some dance and be like, go Solomon. And we just really celebrate it and just be thankful for it.
That is so beautiful.
And then we remind ourselves and we speak those things. Solomon's condition is temporary.
Yes.
And his healing's on the way.
Yes.
And my 7-year-olds will say that. I know Solomon's not feeling good, but his healing's on the way, Mom. I know it.
Yeah. I literally have chills, Jazzmin, up and down my body. Seeing the imagining you as a family putting out, right? What you put out into the world and into the universe, that's what comes back. So if you're putting out, he smiled, he opened his hand, he's on his way to healing. If you put that out there, I so deeply believe that's what you get back. I love everything about how you're raising such conscious and grateful and aware children.
I know that what you put in the atmosphere, like you said, you get back. If you speak positive in your life, then you will have positivity in your life. Doesn't mean that everything will be great, but the overall theme of your life will be exactly what you speak to yourself. And I told myself that I'm not going to speak anything but healing and growth and love. Yes. I whisper into Solomon's ear, you're going to be a track star. Now, there's no reason I should be whispering that to that child because he cannot walk.
I want that to happen.
I believe that will define the odds. I love that. I love when people use exactly what things were taken from him to slap it in the face and say, you're not going to define who I am.
That's right.
So I whisper and I pray that. Thank you that Solomon's going to run the 100, the 200, and the 4x4. Yeah. And I whisper that in his ear as well. And I know it's going to happen. But
That's
again,
beautiful.
It's what you put out there. It's what you hope for. It's what you strive for. And then you put behind works. Yeah. And I put behind works behind it. I don't just speak wonderful, loving things in the atmosphere. I do the works behind it.
Yeah, you got to do the work.
You got to do work. I put my son in physical therapy. We make sure we watch his medications. We interact with him. We play with him. we put the work behind it.
Yeah.
And when you put your hope and then you put some work behind it, you're going to see some growth. You're going to see amazing things happen every single time if you're willing.
Yeah.
But that's a risk, and not everyone's willing to risk it. And that means a lot of times it look like a fool. I look like a fool to some of these doctors, and I know it, and I don't care.
And who cares?
Because I'm not fighting for them. I'm fighting for him.
That's right.
And I'll look like a fool any day when it comes to my son.
That's right. Everything you want is just on the other side of uncomfortable, right?
It is everything. You got to be willing to be foolish. If you're not willing to be foolish for it, then you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You don't deserve it.
Well, I don't want to end this conversation because you are so full of inspiration and joy and excitement, but we have to. So
I know.
I'm going to ask the last question, which is something that is really near and dear to my heart. And that is, what is your favorite charitable organization to support?
My favorite organization is an organization called Jules.
Can you spell it?
Yes. JEWELS. So it's like Jules.
Okay.
It's based out of New York, and it helps stop the trafficking of young girls.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
In New York City, there is a lot of kids who run away and run to New York to try to, see a better life.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of trying to see a better life, they're sold into sexual slavery. They're sold into prostitution. And it is just, it's horrible. And I learned about this by watching a Netflix documentary.
Knowledge is power.
Yes, they do little homes in New York and allow the girls to go there and give them a safe haven so that they don't have to go back to their pimps, because they have somewhere to actually lay their head down. And that's pretty much a lot of times why they go back, is because they have nowhere else to go.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's a powerful and an important organization. As always, each week, listeners, I ask you to go and learn more about this organization. We'll have links to them on our show notes. And if you have something to give, time, money, energy, even if it's just sharing the organization with somebody else, please do that. It's what makes us a stronger community and a better world. Jazzmin, would you share your 3 words with us one more time?
Patience, wisdom, and courage.
Beautiful words. You've, I think, explained why you selected them all throughout the interview. I'm so grateful you came on with us today. This idea that you should trust your instincts and fight for what you know is true, and don't give up. That's not just about being a parent. Whatever it is, don't just accept the status quo answer, right? Get out there and learn more and create the change and the story that you want. So I am so grateful that you came and shared this, and it just moved me. It's going to sit with me, I can just tell you, for a very long time. So thank you very much for being here with us.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's it for today. I look forward to talking with you next Thursday. As always, I ask you to go and subscribe, rate, and review to the show. Share it with your friends. That's how we grow. This is Heather Vickery reminding you, as always, to choose bravely. The Brave Files is proudly supported by Lost Format Apparel, a socially conscious clothing company. You already know that homelessness is a huge problem. Over 500,000 Americans are living without shelter and millions more without consistent access to everyday basics. My friends at Lost Format know that solving homelessness is a much larger problem than any one company or person can solve on their own. It requires teamwork, sacrifice, strength, and building communities through personal and professional relationships. And isn't that exactly what the Brave Files podcast is all about? That's why I'm proud to say that the Brave Files has partnered with Lost Format, and together we're working to change the face of consumerism in addressing homelessness. You can now get one of 2 fantastic shirts custom designed specifically for the Brave Files. Each order goes towards providing necessities to the homeless. We have one shirt that, of course, says "Choose Bravely," and another that reminds you that brave is always greater than fearless. Head on over to vickeryandco.com/store to see both beautiful shirts and to check out the entire product line from Lost Format. All of their stuff is super soft and comfortable and has an amazing fit. Use promo code BRAVE to get 10% off of your Brave Files custom t-shirts. And if you have an order over $30, your shipping is free. I choose bravely to take the plunge to help solve homelessness. Are you with me?
Thank you for listening to The Brave Files. Be sure to visit thebravefilespodcast.com to access the show notes and discover fantastic bonus content. Music composed and produced by Matt Lewis of Union Music, LLC.
Special thanks to our editor and audio mix expert, Andrew Olson. I am eternally grateful for all that he does to make each week sound so fantastic. You can hear more of Andrew's work at findandrewolson.com.